Welcome back to the channel, guys. Arthur here from Draft Media. Today we talk about the highly touted big man from Gonzaga, Chet Holmgren. The vertically imposing big man has shown impressive patience underneath the basket. He's not your average 7-foot big man. He's able to contort his body and put the ball on the floor. He has a soft touch and is one of the most skilled big men in the entire nation. He's averaged 14.4 points on 61% efficiency in 27 minutes per game, which shows how dominant he's been. Seeing him put the ball on the floor and get to the basket at will is a very welcome sight. We've seen an emergence in recent years of the point center position, and although I don't believe Chet will be as effective of a point center as Nikola Jokic or Domantas Sabonis, it still demonstrates his unique skill set. Chet is light on his feet and gets off the floor quickly. Of course, being 7 foot tall and 195 pounds, you would expect this, but nevertheless, it's always a good thing to see. Holmgren has had some good-looking possessions out of the post this season. He displays footwork, finesse, and toughness. But of course, the biggest concern with him is his rail-thin frame. Needless to say, adding mass would benefit his game all around. But despite his frame, Holmgren never backs down and is just as physical as any other big man. Chet's game has been impressive on every level. He has a beautiful fadeaway mid-range shot I would love to see him continue to add on. His three-point shot is also a big reason he's been referred to as a unicorn-type player. He shot 40.4% on 3.3 attempts per game. The shot looks good, but it is a little bit streaky, and sometimes you would hope he shot it a little less frequently. It's a similar issue we've seen in players like Kristaps Porzingis. 37.5% of all field goals attempted from Holmgren so far have been from behind the arc. It could be because he's spacing the floor for the dominant back-to-the-basket big man Drew Timme, and it also could be him shying away from defense because of his lack of strength. In the final 9 games of the regular season, Holmgren shot 11 of 35 from 3, which is 31.4%. But in the 7 games prior, he shot an outstanding 16 of 25, which is 64%. I don't mind seeing Holmgren taking so many of these shots, but if the shot is not falling, I would like to see him cut back on these and maybe work from the mid-post or in the dunker spot. Holmgren is averaging nearly 10 rebounds per game, which is exactly what you want to see. 8.1 on the defensive end and 1.7 on the offensive end. He's been a putback machine when he secures the offensive board. Chet came into the year as the #1 prospect, and he's shown all season why he should be in consideration for the first pick. He's filled out the stat sheet and has a well-rounded game along with a once-in-a-decade skill set for a player of his stature. And to quickly touch on his playmaking, he's averaged nearly 2 assists per game by just making the basic pass. He's not an elite passer by any stretch, which is why I don't see him becoming that point center in the NBA. He's also averaging 2 turnovers per game. As talented of an offensive player Holmgren has been, his defense is the main attraction. Holmgren has an incredible 7'6" wingspan. He's been outstanding on defense all season. He's averaging 3.7 blocks per game and will be one of the best help defenders in the NBA the same day he suits up. My defensive comparison for him is Rudy Gobert with significantly better perimeter defense. He moves his feet well, which is not typical for a player of his size. He has great IQ on the defensive end, and I project him to be a defensive anchor at the next level. Holmgren has elite hand-eye coordination and knows exactly how to use every inch of his 7'6" wingspan. The one negative I could point to defensively is his occasional overhelping. Great help defenders take it onto themselves sometimes to attempt to guard the entire opposing team, but this will only end up badly. We've seen Anthony Davis struggle from this in the past, and I believe it just comes from a lack of trust of your teammates on defense. We see how a lack of strength makes him unable to guard the stronger Paolo Banchero, as well as being unable to fight through an off-ball screen. I alluded to Holmgren having a toughness to his game despite being sub 200 pounds, and I think it shows on these post-defensive possessions. He never backs down, and even if he loses ground, his long arms help him alter shots. But again, it's going to be hard for him to do this night in and night out in the NBA, especially against stronger big men, which is why adding mass is going to be so important for Holmgren's success. His perimeter defense is why so many have compared him to Evan Mobley. I think it's a great comparison, and we've seen how successful Mobley has been in just 1 year. He brings true versatility to every aspect of the game. We see how great he is moving laterally, and he understands how to use angles well. Another critique I have is that he needs to stay down when contesting shots. There is no reason he should ever be gambling with the shot contest when he will almost always be the tallest player on the court, especially with his wingspan being as long as it is. What separates big men in the NBA defensively is how effectively they are able to defend the pick and roll. Many players will settle for a drop coverage to overcompensate for their lack of mobility. Chet Holmgren is the exact opposite. The offense is better off not putting him in pick and roll situations because in many cases he guards the switch better than other guards would. Thank you guys for watching. Consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel to join the Draft Media family.